I'm joined today by Dr. Shruti Naik.
That's right.
All right. So could you tell us a bit about yourself, what your research is like?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me here. And, at Jefferson, it's a beautiful campus, and it's going to be a really great to see all the research that the postdocs are doing here. I am an immunologist, and my lab is very interested in understanding how immune cells, which live in our barrier tissues, like the skin and the gut, react to environmental triggers, how they communicate with other cells in the tissue, and what that communication means for barrier health and disease. And the diseases that we're most interested are inflammatory diseases. So 1 in 10 people is walking around with an inflammatory disease, an immune-mediated inflammatory disease. And what this means, it's a startling number, right? Yeah, is that the immune system is attacking our body. Mm-hmm. And yet, we don't really understand what triggers this well. We don't really understand how to halt it. And there are currently no cures for these diseases. So this is the big problem that my lab works on. Mm-hmm.
So I looked on your website and I saw that you're studying these intersections between all these different areas. And is that reflected in like your journey from undergrad up to your current position? Like you did a bunch of different things. Spoiler, everyone. I'll let her say what it was, but yeah, she's done many things.
Yeah, I think the way my brain works, and everybody's brain works very differently.
Sure.
I really like connecting the dots between systems. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that, one, maybe I have a little bit of an ADD situation when it comes to science, right? Because I think everything is so cool and interconnected. Mm-hmm. And those spaces in between disciplines is where really, I think, untapped discovery happens.
Sure.
So what you alluded to is in fact true. Although I'm an immunologist, I've sort of actualized that discipline in different contexts. Mm-hmm. So as an undergrad, I started working in a microbiology lab at the Food and Drug Administration, and we'd study, every time there's an outbreak, they would send us a strain of bacteria, and we'd study it. And I got really interested in how microbes engage the host. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really know what the immune system was because that's not really something that most undergrads are exposed to, or beyond what a T cell is, for instance. Yeah. And then I worked at the Naval Medical Research Center looking at how immune cells function in traumatic brain injury, and learning about the immune system. And so I wanted to bring these sort of two areas together. And during my PhD, I studied how bugs that live on our skin are commensal. So, trigger warning: any germaphobes may want to turn off the podcast now. And then for my own lab, I kind of wanted to bring these themes together to understand more broadly how immune cells communicate with other cells in the tissue. And we realized that communication doesn't just happen when a bug invades or when you have an immunological disease. It happens all the time. Every cell in your body has at some point or another come in contact with an immune cell. They're everywhere. They're in every tissue of your body at all times.
Which is good.
Which is a good thing, right? So they're active. They don't just play roles in killing pathogens like SARS. They also play a role in maintaining your physiology.
Is this the kind of career you always wanted to have? And, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Yeah, so I actually was not... So science was, growing up, not on my radar at all. Mm-hmm. I was a drama kid. I was super into drama. I actually really wanted to be a stand-up comic and an actress. And one day I think I was 17 or 18, I was watching television and there was a scientist who kind of came on screen. Now I know that was Dr. Bonnie Bassler, who's at Princeton and studies quorum sensing, but at the time I just thought it was someone cool who was studying glow-in-the-dark bacteria.
To be fair, her work is very cool.
It is very cool.
It's incredible.
Exactly, right? But so I think that was a pivotal moment for me where I thought, wow, this is quite interesting. And I took a microbiology class. I went to a very impressive science and arts school, And so we actually did have a microbiology class that I could take, which was
high school.
In high school, which was awesome.
That's incredible.
And I was really kind of enamored by bacteria. And so that's kind of how my interest in science began.
That's cool. And, I think saying you wanted to be like a stand-up comedian or an actress, science kind of scratches that itch a little bit, right? Doing the talks and the conferences and posters even, like...
Yeah, I mean, I think that we really don't appreciate what a big part of our job communication is, what a big part of our job storytelling is.
Yeah.
And, you may have the best, biggest discovery, you may have the cure for cancer, but if you cannot communicate that to people,
right,
then nobody is going to know about it. And it's really not going to be put out there. So I think, yes, in a way, it's great to... want to be a stand-up comic. It's actually a much harder job, I think, to be a stand-up comic than a scientist.
Yeah.
But I think that as scientists, we have to really embrace that part of theater and storytelling as part of our jobs to be effective.
Right. It is a performance in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part about running your own lab?
Yeah, I mean, so it's... First of all, I have to say, I have the greatest job in the world. I wouldn't trade it in for anything, not even stand-up comedy at this point.
Yeah.
And the reason I think I have the greatest job in the world is because, one, I really have no boss, right?
Sure.
So you work for yourself, basically. You work on whatever you want. I can wake up tomorrow and come up with some kind of crazy idea, which has happened more than once, and work on that. And have nobody to ask permission to, and nobody to, in many ways, answer to, right?
Right.
I think that's really unique, and having that kind of intellectual freedom is really precious. But I think so you do that as a scientist regardless, but the best part of running a job is that you get to do that with other really smart people who are also interested in the same thing. So one facet of running a lab that I find really exciting is it's not just your brain, it's the brain of 10, 15, 20 other people coming together and solving a biological puzzle with 10, 15 other different perspectives at the table. And so that becomes really exciting because you're constantly learning, you're constantly evolving, you're constantly challenged to grow. I think that is perhaps the most rewarding part about our job, the opportunity to grow forever.
What do you wish you had known as a grad student, a postdoc, at whatever stage? What's something you wish you had known that you didn't, but you do now?
It's okay to fail, and it's okay to fail a lot. I mean, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And don't get me wrong, I'm a very ambitious person, right? I think we all have our own ambitions, whatever they may be. But I think we're also very, very hard on ourselves when we don't meet those ambitions the first time we try. And I think a big lesson to learn is the first time is just the first time. There's going to be many, many other opportunities. I also think that, so I didn't have this problem in graduate school or even as a postdoc because social media was not a big thing then.
Sure.
But, and this is really aging me, but it is now. And while I think, Science Twitter or all the social media platforms are great at sort of creating an open dialogue, the other thing they do is they create a false narrative that everybody is succeeding all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's a big issue with social media.
Right. And so what ends up happening is now we see, I got a fellowship A or my paper's in fancy journal, XYZ, and we're really hard on ourselves. Well, I think that everyone has their moment. If you try and put yourself in the right place, your moment will come, but you have to give yourself the time and space to let that happen. And it's not going to be, I snap my fingers and everything happens. Or I show up, I join a lab, and 6 months later I'm publishing in Nature, right? So accepting that this is a process of delayed gratification. This is a career of delayed gratification. And it's going to take a few or more tries to get to where you want to go. And not being ashamed of that or ashamed of failure or afraid of it, but really just saying, this is part of the process, this is how I learn, this is how I grow.
Yeah. Is there one thing that you wish academia did better?
Oh, absolutely. I think that we are not professional enough.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I really try to implement in my lab. I think the professionalization of academia, we sort of think that if you become a professional environment, that you lose this creative edge,
Sure.
right? Because in some narrative out there, that creativity is at odds with professionalism. And I actually don't think so. I think what professionalism brings to the table is an even playing field where expectations are clearly defined, where you are gauged on metrics and not just I like you more or, whatever, we play for the same soccer team or whatever XYZ reason. So I think that in a way, professionalization is a tool to empower people. It's a tool for equalizing the playing field. And I think it's just a tool for good behavior.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to your talk later.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.